Hello, everyone. So I made this clear time and time again, and I know the newspapers and the media are hell-bound on getting rid of Irish neutrality. They just want to throw it in the bin and forget about it and get Ireland involved in every nitty-gritty conflict in the country, in the world, sorry, excuse me. But obviously it's a long-standing policy from the Second World War, and it served the country well. Loads of young people haven't gone and died in other countries, and again, if we were part of NATO, we would have probably had to go into Vietnam, Iran, Iraq. Loads of Irish people would have died. We have to say it straight. And at the end of the day, what would have benefit Ireland and what would have benefit the world? Sending people into a slaughter. We have to think about that. We have to think about that because we're sending our sons and daughters to die over in other countries, for for literally. And again, it's up to other countries to do their own thing, like the United States, England, France. They're all bigger countries than the Irish Republic. Let's be fair. We don't have the capacity to join NATO. First of all, I've said this many times before. We have to give billions of euro a year to NATO. How could, in the name of God, you have to cut back on something? Again, we have to talk about this logistically. You either have to cut back in the health services, to cut back in housing, and that's going to make people suffer. And people be like, why is people suffering after? And then we'd be giving 8 or 9, 10 billion a year to NATO, for fun, because that's what you have to do. You have to contribute to NATO, to weapons and stuff like that. But the next thing I say is, Coveney's bullshitting out of him, because again, Coveney bullshits a lot. He's bullshitting about Ireland taking part in the EU training program to train the Ukrainian army. So obviously in the United Kingdom, the United Kingdom is not a neutral country, first of all. But the United Kingdom is training Ukrainians to fight in the war with Russia, right? Fair enough. They're not a neutral country. And Ireland and obviously United EU are going to do a European Union training program to train you. But so basically, Irish troops basically will be taking part in helping the Ukrainian army train. That's basically the gist of it. That's basically so Ireland as a neutral country would be taking part in it, which shouldn't be the case. The Irish government should be saying to the EU, "Fuck off, go and get somebody else to do it." Simple as that. Our troops are not taking part. We're not putting us neutrality at risk. It's simple as that. Because again, being neutral, you're in the middle. You don't favour one side, you don't agree with, you're in the middle, you talk to both sides and you negotiate with both sides. And obviously, as I said this since the beginning of this war, Ireland has a great role to play as a member of the United Nations Security Council. And as a neutral country, Ireland should be saying to the Ukrainian government and to the Russian government, look, meet in Dublin, we discuss, we try and find a peaceful way around this. That should have been done the first few weeks of the war. The Taoiseach of the Tánaiste, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, should have said to the Russian delegation, they should ask for a Russian delegation to come to Dublin and a Ukrainian delegation, and they should negotiate. They should have negotiated a peace for settlement. Again, as a neutral country that has nothing to gain from it, they should have done that. They should have thought of that, but no, they didn't think of that because again, they're not really too keen, on peace. Let's be fair, because there should be a peaceful way. There's always a peaceful way out. Because again, they just utterly refuse to talk to anybody and they utterly refuse to do anything but send weapons and stuff. And that's just my opinion on it. Because it sets us. People are dying, people are suffering. It's at the end of the day, it sets us. It's not helping any side. It's not helping. It's not helping anybody. It's not achieving anything in any sort of capacity. And obviously, the Irish government should have assisted forces. But that's not the point here. The Irish government shouldn't be sending Irish troops to train Ukrainian fighters to fight in the war. That's my point. Ireland as a role of a neutral country should obviously send medical aid, of course, things like that, and food and things like that. That's what a neutral country does. Helps when people suffer. But even I wouldn't send peacekeepers, obviously, because there's a risk of them being killed in Ukraine or anywhere like that. If they're sent to the Donbass or something like that, I wouldn't do that. But as a neutral country, that's basically all Ireland can do. They can't get involved in the military. And again, it's the military side of it. It's Jeremy Coveney saying they should be more involved with the military capacity of the European Union. And obviously that's something we should be worried about. It's a European army too. Uh, we have to be firm in that there's no European army. We have to be firm that the Irish army should not be training Ukrainian soldiers. Should not be training anybody. Ireland is a neutral country. It's a sovereign country. Should not be training any soldiers apart from their own sovereign soldiers. Um, Nothing else, nothing more. Simple as that. Whatever about peacekeeping, of course. Peacekeeping going to Lebanon, going to Syria. Peacekeeping there, of course. 100% agree with that. But training people to fight in the war, that's the thing. That's the bit that breaches neutrality. Training people, taking part in the program, it kind of breaches neutrality. And Simon Covey should think about that. Because again, we have to be honest with ourselves. And this is the thing that you have to acknowledge. That Ireland does not. Look at the Irish Navy. Look at the army, look at the air corps, look at the state of the navy. Half of the ships are tied up in dock. They have nobody to man the ships. First of all, so Ireland's completely defenceless and relies on the Royal Navy to protect its waters. Third of all, the Irish Army is understretched, underfunded, even though there's better funding coming. It's the manpower. There's no manpower in the defence forces to sustain any kind of thing. That could, God forbid, if something did happen. There's no manpower to sustain it. Ireland does not have the military capacity to do anything. Just to put it in perspective, Luxembourg at the moment spends more of their GDP on defence than the Republic of Ireland. But that probably will change in a few months' time because, again, the increase in defence force spending. But I'm sure you would agree, we're not in any state to fight anybody or to defend ourselves. And the defence forces have said that. And this is what people forget about. In the last report from the Department of Defence, about nearly a year ago now, said the Irish Army could not defend the state if the state came under attack. It could not be done. It'd be up to the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, and the United Kingdom, the British Army, to defend Ireland. It would not. There's no way the Irish Army can muster the defence to sustain any kind of defence if Ireland was attacked. And this is the words out of the defence forces. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the resources to defend the state, let alone defend any other country. And we have to think about that. The Royal Navy obviously is a very big navy. The Royal Air Force is ridiculously big. The British Army has 200 and something thousand active posts. Now, they're not taking up reservists, which is about 400,000 men and women of the defence force. And then they could call up loads out of the Home Guard. They can call up all this. So they have a lot of people in the United Kingdom and the armed forces. And you think about any other European country that have huge armies. Compared to the little old Ireland with only about 9,000 soldiers, barely 2,000 reserves. So think about that for a second. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, let me know what you think and subscribe for more and bye.